Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, I don't have a whole lot for you this week. I suppose I feel the need to explain why. On the day that Jeff Beck died, a friend of mine also died. He was a great friend, person, one of the best guitar players that I've ever had the privilege of playing with. Just an amazing guy all the way around. Studio engineer. Anyway, it has just sort of taken the air out of my tires. I've been working on this car now for, it's going on 2 years. It'll be 2 years in April. And I've had it, in all of that time, I've had it at the top of my priority. And during that tenure of this project, I've had several friends of mine die. But two of those were really dear, close friends. Dave, if you'll remember from before, I've got the little short about where I was leaving for his funeral. On the 9th or the 10th of January, it was Doug. And Doug and I, we've been working together for so many years, since the 70s. And so much music and fun and stuff. But in the tenure of this project, I've kept it at the top priority. So there have been many occasions in the last 2 years where I could have gone and been a better friend to Doug. But I didn't, because I was working on my car. And that just doesn't feel very good. In one way, I just feel like while I've been working on the car, life is just passing me by. And I'm missing many important things that aren't going to come around again. And on the other hand, his passing also makes me want to just dig in and get it finished. Because I made all those sacrifices, and it's got to be for something. And anyway, so pretty much on the car here, I've just been doing stuff, just piddling around with stuff, working on the balance panel here. I don't know, maybe you guys can help me. I'm a little stalled out on this valance. I've wanted to do something with it for years to open up the front like all the race car valances and stuff have, in order to provide more cooling. But I don't want to do it in just the regular way. I mean, I could just pay the $129 for the one with the cutout that goes in the 66 and call it good. Or maybe start from that one. I don't know. I've got a couple of 3-inch in diameter LED driving lights that are also put out horizontal beam fog lights. And I want to mount those somewhere. And so I've always wanted to do that, but I've just never come up with a thing. And maybe you guys can help me. I just can't make up my mind how I want to do this front valance, so I haven't. Like I've said, I sort of let the air out of my tires, and I'm not really going anywhere or doing anything. I've got a few things that I've done. I've got some shots of that, and I'll include those after this intro. Anyway, I just wanted to explain why I'm just sort of spinning my wheels and not really getting a whole lot done. And that's it. I'm having a hard time keeping my head together. I really miss Doug a lot. Anyway, so thank you for listening, and thank you for watching, and it really, I don't know, somehow you folks kind of help keep me grounded, I guess. Oh, I just need to get my head out of my butt, I guess. That's it. Here's some shots, and then that'll conclude the video. And thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later. Thanks. Hi, welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, today I'm working on a bunch of little stuff. Turn signals. I'm reworking the sockets and this little. I'm going to paint the inside of this white like I did the taillights, so that the turn signals are nice and bright. The other thing I'm working on is the antenna. I bought a replacement antenna, the Parts Place solid mast cable repair kit with upgraded steel cable for GM. This is the OEM spaghetti. Here's the metal clip on the end that clips into the gear, and it has a little metal piece right here that goes up through a it's actually a tube with a very small hole. You can't even see it, I don't think. Just take my word for it. Anyway, this metal piece only goes this far, and it's because they wanted to stiffen up the spaghetti down at the bottom where it's pushing, where it's curved and pushing at the very bottom of the mast. Well, that's fine, except that all it does is create a stress riser right here where it ends. So that's right where the plastic breaks. It has a problem or two. Okay, I'm going to take this apart real quick. See, it's got little clips, just miniature versions of the same clip that you would find on the heater box. See, they're just little versions of it. Okay, so, jeez, there's the housing. This is the brush assembly with the torque switch. This is the armature that, see how little wear is on this thing, and that's because, yeah, these things, the mast breaks. I don't know about wear on the whole plastic, all of this plastic inside the housing. So this replacement antenna is not made properly. It's got a few problems, and I'll explain them to you. Number one is this thing at the bottom is different than that. So I had to grind the end of it off because it was too long, and it was straight, and it didn't have a tight bend here on the end. So consequently, it would not engage through this little spot. You can see, let me see if I can show you this. See, this OEM one, it just drops in and turns, and then the curve of it, see, they got a special relief for it right there, just lays right in, and it hangs on to the gear down there, and it pops right out. This one is bigger. It wasn't bent sharp enough here on the end, and it didn't have a curve to it, so I mean, it was impossible to get it in the gear. Only halfway happy with this kit. The other problem it had is that this portion of the antenna is about this much longer than the OEM one, which would sit in here about like this. I've already cut it off a little bit. Looks like I need to cut it off just a bit more, don't I? But maybe not. So the problem was that when the antenna went down, when the pill, that's this little guy right here at the top of the antenna, when it went down, when the antenna is retracting, it's going down like this, and then the pill grabs this and pushes it down to there, which then pushes this down into the antenna. The problem is that this part here would come out of the bottom of this next section, and then when it went back up the next time, it would stop with like this without the top piece sticking out. And you can't See, just like this right here. See, I'm pushing on it, and it won't come through the tube. It's anyway. That's what I did every time. And you have to sit and futz with it, and then you finally get it to go. So what I have to do is I've got to cut this off, and so that it doesn't come out of this tube. That's pretty much the gist of it. You have to modify this here, got to modify that there, so that things work the way they're supposed to. You got to force it down in there, and then take the pliers and twist it in like that. See, so now the end of it is down in there where it belongs. And then if you rotate it down, and I got the bend right, it should stay in there. Got to clean this whole thing up. Okay, so the other way that this works, I guess I should show you that. This is a torque setup. So as soon as the antenna is all the way up, the armature pushes down and opens up this switch right here, like that. And then when it comes all the way down, it goes the opposite way, and the torque pulls it the other way, and it opens that switch. This all has to be watertight. So this thing and its wire connector here, this all has to be RTV'd in place so that it won't leak in through there. I should say the worm and the ring gear all have to be lubed up. So what I'm doing here is I have to have grease in here, but I also have to keep grease off of this channel so that that's perfectly dry so the RTV will stick. Then you put the gear in. Let's see, let's take a little of the cable up here, like so. You put the gear in like so. So that goes in there like that, and that goes in like that. And then you just get the top piece here, and it then has to go together like so. And then those little clips go around and hold all the plastic together. There's one bolt that just goes through the middle here and pinches the inside so the gear stays in place. This is a mounting bolt for where it mounts through the body. And there's two bolts that go through here. Now all of these were rivets that I had to drill out. And so I'm replacing the rivet with bolts. And then that's the whole thing. And then the last thing I'll have to do, let's get this all back together here. Whoops, come on. Okay, you can see how fiddly this is. It's kind of a pain in the butt to get together with all of the sealer and everything else that has to happen. Okay, so then once that's together, I'll make a new pill out of stainless and I will stake it onto the antenna. So one thing of note is that these have different part numbers. This is a 13237. And this one over here is a 13236, being left and right. But they're not marked left and right. But one of the deals is these are clearly marked left and right. See, that one says right hand. This one says left hand. If you just take these and try to fit them on here, you can see that the right hand one on the left hand turn signal doesn't work right. So if you need a way to discover which one is which, when you put this labeled part on there, then it fits properly when it's on the correct one, and then you know what side it goes on. These are original. This one has such a light stamp that you can barely read it, and this one is stamped quite heavily. If you'll notice, I have my front turn signal wired not to ground, so the front marker light goes from park light to turn signal power. So what that means is that the bulb lights up with the running lights on, gets its ground through the filament of the turn signal, the brighter filament. But when the filament blinks on, this blinks off, so the two lights blink opposite of each other. I took some of this packing material here, which is just a thin ethafoam, about an 1/8 inch or so, and I just took some skizzers and cut myself a gasket. I need to do a little extra trimming here, but so one of the problems I noticed with my turn signals was that water was getting in around this backside. The gaskets had compressed. So I think this time I am going to put RTV around the backside and then the gasket on the front. Okay, tune-up, dielectric grease. Basically, I just grab a hunk of heater hose, and that allows me to just grab the bulb here, come on, push it down and turn it. There we go. I wasn't putting it in the right spot. Anyway, that piece of heater hose works pretty good. Now, one of the things I've been having problems with these replacement bulbs versus the old ones is that these, on the old stock, these brass nubs are very pronounced, and they're actually tacked on there, I think. On the replacement ones, it's actually a punch is all, and they're not very pronounced, and the bulbs actually won't stay in. And you can see that kind of on this bulb right here. It's leaning off to one side. It doesn't want to stay down there where it belongs because that one of the pins is holding and the other is not. So I wonder, let's get it out of there. Let me wipe off this silicone and I'll show you what I mean. So this bulb has been replaced at some point. Made in Hungary, but see that tit there? It's dented in. So this one doesn't hold anymore. This bulb here is probably from the 70s. So I'm going to go ahead and put some silicone on this one, deep one and shallow one. So that's the deep one right there. I should be able to make that go in. There we go. Notice how much better this original bulb fits that socket. So what I'm going to do is just put silicone around this inside edge here. Let's just get it going here. I'll put a few clumps in there and then I'll just use my finger to smear it around. Okay, that's a little messy, but let's unmess it here a bit. Can always clean up a little bit if I have to. Okay. Okay, kershmush, just like that. And now I want to have the Ford logo up, of course, or no, it goes down. And the SAE goes up. And also being a Butterfingers this morning. Okay, there it is. You know, the lenses aren't perfect. I did some polishing on them and cleaned them up a bit. There's RTV sealing the back of this socket here to the housing. Look pretty good, huh? All sort of fixed up, ready to go back on.